Alright guys, BLM here, back with a new video. In this video, I'll be talking about who I think should and would be cast on a season of The Amazing Race Unfinished Business 2. Now obviously the first Unfinished Business was an all-star season comprising of non-winners from all the seasons since the last All-Stars, and this is going to be kind of a similar thing here. So here I'm going to be making this under the assumption this is season 32. I know it's not. I know season 32 is a newbie cast. But essentially I'm going to be using seasons 25 through 31 to make a cast of essentially second chancers. And to be honest, this was pretty tough. I mean, this was a lot tougher than I thought it would be. I thought 6 seasons would be enough to get enough people for this, but there were some slots that were pretty difficult to fill, but let's get through it. So obviously, as I mentioned, no winners here. I mean, Amy and Maya and Brooke and Scott would definitely be in consideration if they weren't winners, but they are, so they're not here. But with that out of the way, let's just get started. So we're starting off with season 25. Obviously, the last season that was an all-star season was season 24, so this was a pretty good season. There was a pretty good cast. However, I kind of feel like it's been a decent amount of time since this season that production wouldn't really feel the need to bring a lot of these people back. Shelly and Niecy was a team that I thought would be really fun, but again, I just don't feel like they're on production's radar. Misty and Jim would have been locks, but obviously, rest in peace. But I did end up putting Kim and Allie on the cast. I mean, supposedly they were in the running for season 31. And I think they would be really fun returnees. I thought they were really fun in their season. The only problem is that I feel like they are very similar archetype-wise to another team that I also put on the cast. But to be honest, I would have picked Kim and Allie over that other team anyway, but we'll talk about that other team later. Now for season 26, and for season 26, I literally did not even consider anyone other than the team that I did put on. And I should also mention this, I did try to put at least one team from every season that was in consideration here, and I did end up doing that. So from season 26, I did put Haley and Blair. I mean, to be honest, there's no other team on this season that's really worth bringing back. And also there's some weird couples here with people who just aren't friends anymore and that sort of stuff, because obviously it was the blind date season. But I thought Haley and Blair would be a good team to bring back for a couple of reasons. Obviously the fact that they're supposedly still friends, but even more obviously the fact that Haley is fantastic TV. I mean, I'll be really, really disappointed if they brought someone back from season 26 that wasn't Haley and Blair. I mean, to be honest, even just bring back Haley. I mean, like, who cares about Blair? I mean, I think you kind of need, like, some sort of punching bag there for Haley, but I think, like, Blair could be replaced, like, pretty much anyone. But obviously, yeah, Haley and Blair did make the cast here. Now for season 27, where I actually was surprised at how many people I considered. I actually thought this was a pretty strong cast in retrospect. There are a couple teams that I considered here. I mean, Logan and Chris, I thought would have been fantastic to have back. I love Logan and Chris. I mean, they're such a train wreck, and it would have been amazing to see them on another season, but they didn't make the cut. Denise and James Earl were a consideration. Now, I only have one parent-child relationship on this cast, and to be honest, Denise and James Earl are probably more memorable than the other team, but there's kind of another reason why I need to keep the other team on there, so I didn't put Denise and James Earl on the cast. I didn't put Tanner and Josh on the cast, and I thought they were interesting enough TV, at least for their first half of their run. But to be honest, they simply didn't make the cut. But the ones I did put on the cast, I did put Tiffany and Krista on the cast. And that's something I forgot to mention too, is I did end up putting on 5 male-female teams, 3 female-female teams, and 3 male-male teams, because I wanted to keep the gender balance as much as possible. And I feel like there were definitely like some of the less impressive racers out of the people on the short list, but they were also still fun TV. They had their moments, and they were rootable underdogs during their season, so I thought it was worth bringing them back. And obviously, the biggest lock from this season is Justin and Diana. I mean, there's no question that they're coming back. I mean, obviously, they would have been on 31 if they weren't pregnant at the time. So, I mean, if this is a hypothetical season where they're not pregnant, then obviously Justin and Diana are coming back. There's no question about it. Now for season 28, and this was tough. There were some people I considered. I did consider like Aaron and Jocelyn, as for some reason it seems like production likes them. I mean, they were on The Price is Right, which is so random, but they didn't make the cut. Sherry and Cole is a team that, from what I understand, they were asked back for 31 and turned it down because Cole had no interest in doing it, so I didn't put them on the cast either. Bernie and Ashley was a team that I would like to see back, but I already have some other teams that are like in relationships, and I feel like I should probably have a slightly different relationship, and that's why I did put up Scott and Blair on the cast. This is the tough one, because it's like I wanted a parent relationship, but I also needed someone from 28. Scott and Blair, I mean, they were decent TV. I mean, at least Blair was pretty good TV. Scott was kind of just there. But I thought they had a memorable exit where they raced Tyler and Corey to the end. And by the way, Tyler and Corey obviously would have been locks if they haven't already been back for 31. And the same thing goes for Team Fun. Scott and Blair, I mean, I think if I'm going to bring back one team from 28 and also try to diversify the type of relationships that are on the cast, I think I have to pick Scott and Blair, even though, I don't know, I feel a bit weird about putting them on the cast, but it's kind of what I have to do to keep certain rules that I've set for myself. Now from season 29, which is a weird season because obviously this was the strangers season where everyone was strangers. So a lot of these relationships didn't really hold. I mean, again, Brooke and Scott would have been fantastic, but they won. I did consider Liz and Michael because I thought they were fantastic TV, but again, didn't make the cut. To be honest, there were a lot of male-female teams in consideration. I think my short list had about 15 or so, and I had to narrow that down to 5 in comparison to like male teams where I think I only had like 4 or 5, and in female teams where I only had like 7. So yeah, Liz and Michael just didn't make the cut. But I did put 2 teams here. I did put Tara and Joey. Obviously they came in second. I thought they were the most consistent racers of that final 3. I thought they were decent TV. They also represent kind of like the older people on this season. I'm not going to say couple because obviously they're not together. They're definitely the older people on this cast, and I feel like that needed to be represented. So they're there. And I also put Matt and Redmond on the cast as they were probably the best team of the season. I also thought they were pretty fun towards the beginning of the game where they had feuds with certain other teams. I also think they have a pretty decent story for getting a second chance. So I think Matt and Redmond were pretty much no-brainers for me on being on a unfinished business season. And then from season 30, I mean, there were a few contenders. I mean, Henry and Evan I consider, but I believe they've broken up. So yeah, probably not going to be back. And Lucas and Brittany were in consideration. I do think they have a good, like, sort of unfinished business story. It says that obviously they lost their passport and that's why they lost. So I think there's a good story there. But again, so many male-female teams that they just didn't make the cut. But I did end up putting Alex and Connor on the cast. And the main reason they're here is because the male-male teams kind of sucked. Like, I even consider, like, cutting a male-male team to put another female-female team just because the female-female teams were a bit more interesting. I mean, to be fair, Alex and Connor probably wouldn't have been the ones cut. It probably would have been the next male-male team that I talk about. But even then, like, I think Alex and Connor were fun on this season, especially Connor. I think Connor brought a lot of humor to the season. I thought they had an interesting enough dynamic. They were good racers. I could see them coming back. And the last female team for this cast is Christy and Jen. And initially, I was trying to decide between them and Kim and Allie because I feel like they're very similar teams in the sense that they're both very athletic, strong performing female teams. But I felt like Kim and Allie were more fun characters. So initially, I made this cast with only Kim and Allie, but then it kind of irritated me that Christy and Jen didn't make the cast. So I did end up cutting a team that I wanted to put in from season 31, that we'll talk about later, to put Christy and Jen on the cast. Again, they got 3rd place. They were the most consistent team of that season. They're one of the best female teams of all time. I mean, I think they're very strong racers, and I do think to have a returning season without them at this point is going to be kind of disappointing. And now for the final season I wanted to talk about, which is season 31, Reality Showdown. And to be honest, I kind of considered the entire cast that I could. Obviously, 5 of the teams were former Amazing Race teams, so they wouldn't make the cut. I didn't even consider Rachel and Alyssa because obviously Rachel is also another previous Amazing Race player. So really, there were only 5 teams to even consider here. And I didn't consider Janelle and Brittany because I didn't find them to be particularly entertaining on that season. But I pretty much considered every other team. Rupert and Laura would be hilarious to have back, but there is 0% chance that they're going to do well. So I just decided, you know what, they're kind of just a waste of a casting spot. I did put Corinne and Eliza on the cast. I really wanted them on this cast. However, again, I decided to cut them over Christy and Jen. Christy and Jen, again, obviously 3rd place finishers, very consistent team. Corinne and Eliza, 9th place, not really that great of a team. Really fun characters, and I think that would be still a fun returning team. Like, I would be happy if Corinne and Eliza got cast, but for the sake of this video, I didn't put them on the cast. But the 2 teams that I did put on the cast, I did put Chris and Brett, and that was the male team that I probably would have cut. I do feel like they had an interesting enough dynamic. They were solid racers. They had a rocky start, but I do think they started to pick it up towards the end. And I do think they have the potential to do well on a return, but to be honest, I just didn't feel like I needed Chris and Brett on this season. And because I was very willing to just let them go, I was very willing to cut them, but again, I decided to stick to my 3 male team rule, and because of that, Chris and Brett do make the cut here. And the final team, which is probably the biggest lock from this season on the board, and that's Nicole and Victor. I think Nicole and Victor are pretty much guaranteed a spot on the next All-Star season. At least if it happens anytime soon. Again, I don't see how they don't get cast. Obviously, they were really rootable underdogs. They at least brought some drama to the season. They had some pretty fun dynamics with other teams. I think they're pretty much locks. So there we go. That is my cast for Amazing Race Unfinished Business 2. We have Kim and Allie, Haley and Blair, Tiffany and Krista, Justin and Diana, Scott and Blair, Matt and Redmond, Tara and Joey, Alex and Connor, Christy and Jen, Chris and Brett, and Nicole and Victor. So those are the 11 teams that I have selected. And obviously I already know season 32 has already been filmed and we already know who the teams are. But again, obviously I'm not going to really put any of those in consideration because we don't know the results of that season or how fun of TV they are and that sort of thing. But obviously with the inclusion of season 32, they'll probably change up some of the teams here and probably make it an overall better cast. But yeah, I didn't make this video with the intention of making a good Unfinished Business 2 cast. I kind of realized when making it that I don't think we're ready yet. I don't think we're ready for another All-Star season. Yeah, I think 31 definitely took out a couple contenders there. As obviously Tyler and Corey would have definitely been in the Chris and Brett spot. And Team Fun probably would have been there over probably Tara and Joey or someone like that. I mean, it probably would have been an overall better cast. But yeah, that's the video. I'm not entirely sure when the next Amazing Race video will be. Again, gonna try to do that season 2 video in the next couple months. I'd also probably like to do a Amazing Race All Winners casting video. I think that might be fun. But for now, that is the video. Thank you for watching.